I really like that little image of Grinderbit behind the desk. I think it's very funny. I think it was Omar that whipped that up as a joke, and then I used it. Hey, everybody. It's time for RPG Help Desk. There's no guest today. It's just me. We're going to talk some real dumb stuff. That's the hope. Or we run out of questions and I leave early. I guess that's also an option. But I really wanted to talk about the stupid things in RPGs. I have a starter question that I'm going to lead with. And Durthal, thank you very much, has asked like 4 questions in the Discord, in the RPG Help Desk Discord channel on Second Wind. So I've got some ready, but like if y'all have a question or a dumb take, yeah, Deebs, if you got a dumb take, I want to hear it. That's today's topic. That's all we're gonna do, unless we get real sidetracked. Can I? I'm gonna write the question down. Here we go. Here's my base idea. This is literally the question that got me started on this. Also, I don't know why I'm rushing this. Hey, everybody, welcome. I hope you're having a good day. How would we know if the take was dumb? If you feel it in your bones. It's a kind of a vibes thing. We're putting on the spot. I mean, you've got like an hour or two, so no rush. If we run out of questions, can I carry out my grand takeover? Yes, you can, Talion. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited for a grand takeover. It better be grand, though. If it's not grand enough, it will be taken back. So, here it is. Wait, let me move this so it can actually show up. There we go. If you're immune to non-magical damage, do you take fall damage? Discuss. So if you are immune to all non-magic damage, okay, you are a celestial creature or something, you got a special spell, and you fall 10,000 feet. You do not have flight. You do not have a spell of safe fall. You have nothing. You fall 10,000 feet. Terminal velocity. You hit the ground. You take damage? No, gravity is a force. Is gravity a natural force or is it magical? All right, Deebs, see, that's a good question, but there's a bit of an issue with that. Is you have things that are natural but also have a magical counterpart. So like fire, completely natural. Fire spells, kind of one of the most popular. Poison, incredibly natural. Poison spells. So like there could be gravity magic, but that isn't necessarily the same thing as gravity. Kind of like fire and fire magic. Or magical fire. So, is gravity magical in the universe? That's a great question. That's kind of that's what I want to know. Like, do we think magic or gravity itself is a completely normal force? Hitting the ground, Italian says hitting the ground from gravity is fully equivalent to someone hitting you really hard. So immunity to one is immunity to both. So it doesn't matter how hard, Talion, you're saying it is. It's immune to force, non-magical force. So clearly, it's immune. Would you leave like a pancake? Like, would you leave like an indent of your body in the ground? Because you're still hitting it with the full force, even if you are immune. That's the secondary question. Unless you need natural ingredient to cast a spell. Oh shoot, I might have to mute my my Slack. Sorry, everybody. Just gave everybody a minor heart attack. Yeah, gravity is manipulated by magic. Is gravity magic? Oop. Where'd that go? Oh, RGB Blight. Hey, Made Hand is Gravity magic. Gravity magic. That's really funny. If you use Mage Hand to lift something up and drop it, I guess the drop still wouldn't count as magic. It's only the magic part was lifting you up. The falling is not magic. Gravity manipulated by magic is gravity magic, but throwing someone off a castle isn't. Speakeasy, that's kind of where I'm thinking. That's kind of what I'm thinking. This is the dumb shit that I'm here for, is the gravity magic. Good. It's not the gravity that kills you, it's the fall. All right. Wait. Is it the fall? It's not the fall. You don't, like, suffocate in the fall. Then I guess it would come down to what caused the fall. If you tripped and fell off a cliff, no damage. If whoever pulls you down off the cliff with gravity magic, you dead. Okay, Deebs, I agree. I think if you're aided by magic for the pull, that counts as magic damage. Or does it? Because it's just helping gravity. Gravity's doing most of the work. What if we just shoved you off a cliff? Did the wizard? But see, the wizard's push doesn't do damage. It's the hit at the bottom, and that has nothing to do with the wizard. The wizard just started that. So I would say no. Yeah, shove isn't magic, no damage. Yeah, it's more like a sudden stop. Yeah, the sudden stop, exactly. But like if you're immune to non-magical damage, would it hurt you? It seems silly, but like, I feel like this is a really good question. Here's a question that answers the first question. If you use magic to defy gravity, then turn it off, does someone fall? If you use magic to defy gravity and then turn it off, does someone fall? Yes. Because you're using magic to defy gravity and you're turning it off so natural things would happen, which would be gravity, so they would fall. However, if this is for magic damage, the only magical part of that is the getting up there part. The falling part is natural, so that I think that would still be no magic damage. You would still take no damage. If you're using gravity magic to slam someone into the ground, says Talion, you would... Oh, gosh. Quit moving, chat. Not you all, but the actual window. The ground would not be immune. If you're using gravity magic to drop someone, you're immune. Wait. Yeah, if you're using gravity magic, then you would not be immune. If you're using gravity, you are immune. That's kind of where I'm leaning, is you have to have magic involved significantly in the process. If, like, you're falling at terminal velocity and then you use magic to speed you up like 1 mile per hour, I feel like you're only going to take magic damage from that 1 mile per hour extra force. The majority of it is just going to be the normals, and you're immune to that. In 5e, falling damage is bludgeon, so immunity to bludgeoning would be immunity to fall damage. You don't even need to be immune to all magical damage to avoid falling damage. GM Moonwolf, I need to look that up. That's really clever. Also, I don't know how common immunity to fall damage is or immunity to bludgeon damage is in 5e. It seems like it would be extremely rare because that is one of the 3 types of non-magical damage. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, Keeper Days, I do. You'd probably need to establish why you're immune to non-magical damage. Super-duper armor. Gravity will pancake you if you fall from high enough. Magic shield, that could work. See, I feel like the armor would work, though. Like, if the armor is repelling force, non-magical force, then I'm still in the camp of you would fall. Now, if you were, like, you had the gauntlets off of your full magic armor, then your hands would take full damage. Because they have no magical protection if it's the armor. So that's what I think. I think you got to have full protection from the armor. If any sufficiency advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, then any It's, it's understood science is indistinguishable from magic. Like magic, we kind of understand what gravity does, but we don't know why it works. Ergo, gravity is magic. I mean, that's a good argument, Discordia. I like where your head's at. But I wouldn't argue for it. I would still say that gravity is a natural force and is therefore you would be immune to magic damage. Anyone that's my time, I only was able to pop in whilst oh hey. Well, thanks for being here while you could, Blight. You were a delight while you were here. You will be missed. So if you're in a force field, you might get pancaked. It would need some sort of full body protection. Yeah, if you were in like a bubble and that was immune to magic damage, and then it falls at terminal velocity and stops, and you're inside of it, yes, you, I think, would still take full damage because you're not immune to damage and it is still stopping with full force. Hot take, D&D is the 5e is the worst role-playing game for new people. Duke of Doom, I wouldn't argue it's the worst. I would agree it is not good though. It is not the best. You're in the right crowd. Honestly, immune to where'd it go? Magical just sounds like pure immunity to anything that actually exists in the world currently, which gravity does. See, and that's cowboy. That's kind of how I feel. More like a D blight. Ayo, that's funny. That's the same magic armor. Ooh, okay, Deebs, but I feel like the idea of the armor. Shoot. No, you've caught me on that. Because I feel like the armor is encompassing you, but the sphere is just the sphere. All right. That would have to be how it's written to determine. Because that's a really good point. If it is the thing and all things inside of it, then both of them would apply to it does not harm anything within it. Anything in the armor is immune to magical damage. Anything within the sphere is immune to magical damage. If it is the armor is immune to magical damage or the sphere is immune to magical damage, then I agree with you. You being inside either would still pancake you. Does magical armor seem open to loopholes, though? Because, like, if the armor is magic resistant and you set the person on fire, they'd get cooked inside. The armor is immune, not the person inside. Yes, that's an excellent loophole there. Speakeasy. Yeah, you cook the person inside. Well, it depends on how it's well. First of all, resistant and immune are two different things. If it's resistant, it's still going to be affected by it. It's just not going to be as effective. So, and then if it is immune, so it's immune to heat damage, like so it just doesn't heat up. If it doesn't get hot, then you wouldn't cook the person inside. So that would kind of depend on the item itself. Assuming it has more description. But yeah, if it was just resistant or it still got hot but didn't harm it, it would absolutely cook the person inside. If gravity is force of nature, says Discordia, and people are natural, then anything they do is also natural. Ergo, magic propagated by people is natural. It's the airplanes are a natural fallacy. Either everything being done is natural or nothing is. I feel like, here's what I feel like. Things that can occur without our interaction would be considered natural. So like the thing with, and there is no like real world equivalent to this. I like your point, Discordia, but I know there's no real world equivalent to this because you have like magic in my mind requires something otherworldly that we have to access or that something has to access. That's my thought of why it's a little different than that. The best system is the one you get people to play. You're not wrong. Are you free floating in the sphere connected to it? That's see, that's good points. We gotta know. Free floating in the sphere, then you're definitely immune. Like if it's always like you're in the center of the sphere. Ooh, it still stops suddenly though. Yeah, it would depend on if it says creatures are immune inside, or anything inside is immune, or just the sphere itself. Fire immune armor needs to look like a fire suit, or else what's the point? If someone casts Resilient Sphere, can that Resilient Sphere be used to beat someone to death? Hey, far too many frogs. Well, now I gotta look up Resilient Sphere. It seems like yes, but let me look this up. Armor that would distribute physics, blunt, and specific damage would have to work in a way where it nullifies and distributes force. I agree. Duke of Doom. Our group has used the phrase, it isn't danger. It isn't dungeons in physics. You were correct. It's not dungeons in physics. That's funny. It's a really good phrase. I don't think magic needs to be unnatural for there to be a distinction between magical and non-magical damage. This is Deebs. I think that's an excellent point. I'm immune to non-magical damage, so the weapons are useless against me. The wizard being magical being punches them to bypass immunity. Magical does not equal unnatural. I agree. I kind of think of those as different things. But kind of unnatural. Like, there's non... Oh, boy. I don't know what the best word... I guess magical. Like, magical could be described as unnatural, but I think magical and unnatural are two different things, but they're like cousins. Magician's brick moment. I love Magician's brick. Doesn't everything like martial class in D&D end up having their damage considered magical? I don't know. I know several of them do. Barbarian grabs a creature's own limb and proceeds to beat them with it while saying, "Stop hitting yourself," and bypassing immunity. If the creature deals magical damage and it is immune to magical damage, then you grabbing the creature's arm and having them hit themselves with it absolutely would count. Improvised weapon for sure. Now I'm wondering about human centipeding humanoids by their limbs, and a giant using them as a whip would be classified as an improvised weapon. That's really funny. Have you seen Magician's Brick? I 100% have. I love Magician's Brick. I've seen all those shorts, I think, and they're all delightful. Once had a 3-hour plus argument with 2 people in a D&D game. I don't know why it started. We got resolved where 2 people argued that what would happen if a hill in front of a portal opened to the bottomless ocean? What would happen if happened to the hill in front of a portal? Open it. I would say, Mirthid, is the pressure of the bottomless ocean would press against the hill. If the pressure of the hill was strong enough to hold back the force of the bottomless ocean, depending on how deep you made that hole is kind of how much force it might have, then you're good. It'll hold it. If the force of the bottomless ocean, wherever this portal is coming from, is more force than what the mountain can hold or the hill can hold, then it would push into it. Well, also, hills aren't waterproof. It would just start seeping into it. What am I saying? It's like if you poured water on the ground. Like, it would just start seeping through. Oh, hey, first-time chatter. Neuromancer. Sci-fi villain once said 19th century people My force field protects me from any weapon you could think in 100 years. The protag conjures an M60 and shot him. That's really funny. Portal open next to a hill. Is the hill not blocking the portal? Because then it would just spill out. Bottomless ocean would have infinite pressure. Where in the bottomless ocean, though? Because just because it's a bottomless ocean, if you're at the very top, the pressure there is much lower than the pressure 10,000 feet down or 6 bajillion feet down. I mean, it would still leak through the hill regardless. Erosion speed run. Okay, I gotta look at Resilient Sphere. So Resilient Sphere, target a creature or object of large size, smaller. Conjuration. A sphere of shimmering force encloses a creature. Okay, it encloses a creature or object of large size or smaller within range. An unwilling creature must make a dexterity saving throw. Okay. Nothing not physical objects, energy, or other spell effects can pass through the barrier, in or out, though the creature in the sphere can breathe there. The sphere is immune, so the sphere is immune to all damage, and a creature or object inside can't be damaged by attacks or effects originating from outside, nor can the creature inside the sphere damage anything outside of it. This is reading very clear. The sphere is weightless. Oh no, that's even worse. The sphere is weightless and just large enough to contain the creature or object inside. The enclosed creature can use its action to push against the sphere's walls and thus roll the sphere at up to half the creature's speed. Similarly, the globe can be picked up and moved by other creatures. A disintegrate spell targeting the globe destroys it without harming anything inside of it. Okay, I feel like this is absolutely clear. The sphere is weightless, so you do not need to make a strength score to pick up the sphere. It is weightless. It is large enough to contain the creature inside, so you have to be able to grab it's a size large creature, so you're probably big enough to pick it up. It says the sphere is immune to all damage, and a creature or object inside can't be damaged by attacks or effects originating from outside. I would absolutely rule that if you grab it and shake it and you are beating and the person is ping-ponging around in there, that is damage to the creature originating from inside. They are hitting the inner wall. They would absolutely take damage. Yes, you could beat someone to death by putting them in a resilient sphere and shaking it really hard. What is the damage exactly? I'm not sure. I think that would absolutely depend on the strength of the person, even though the sphere is weightless, so anybody could do it. Yeah, you bludgeon the person inside, not outside. Absolutely. That works. Yeah, you could beat someone to death with a resilient sphere within the resilient sphere. Yeah, you're damaging the person inside. So you could you beat someone to death with it with the outside? Is the sphere weightless or is the sphere plus person weightless? Oh, shoot. That's a really good point. Is the sphere weightless or is the person weightless? And it doesn't say. Oh, no. Oh, you've caught me on a technicality here. Okay. Okay, so the sphere is weightless. So it is the weight of... No, I'm redoing this. It is the weight of the person inside. That's what I'm thinking. Hang on, let me reread this. The sphere is weightless and just large enough to contain creature. An enclosed creature can use the action to push. Okay. Similarly, the globe can be picked up and moved by other creatures. Doesn't say the weight, though. We're talking about Resilient Sphere. It's a 4th level spell in D&D 5e. I'm I think the implication is that the sphere is weightless. Like the sphere and the creature inside is weightless. I think, but it is not clear. If the creature needs to be able to lift the victim, it would be specific, I think. Yeah, it does seem like you can pick it up. Well, it says the globe can be picked up and moved by other creatures. So, yeah. If the person inside can push/roll the sphere, then the person would have to have weight if the sphere itself is weightless. That's a really good point. You know what? I think that seals it. We're going to say it weighs as much as the person inside and whatever gear they have. So anything inside the sphere, it weighs that much. So you would still have to be strong enough to lift up and shake that. But yes, you could beat someone who's inside of it while just shaking it. And I see no reason why you couldn't beat someone with it. So what if you took, like, you cast Resilient Sphere on a creature, and then you fasten that Resilient Sphere to the end of a stick, and then you use that stick as a mace. And then every time you hit something, it's a sudden stop to hit the person on the inside, and you're hitting someone with the Resilient Sphere, so they're taking damage too. That's the ultimate weapon right there. Getting into territory if you can't see when invisible because photons can't enter the eyes that's invisible. Keeper Days. I have legit talked about that. And I love that idea of if you are invisible. My thought for invisibility is like, basically when you turn invisible, you take a snapshot of what is around you. And then as you start moving, everything kind of starts to smear because you're not getting any new visual information. And the only way to update that is to become visible for a moment. That's what I think of with invisibility. All right, so yes, you can beat someone to death in a Resilient Sphere and beat someone to death with the Resilient Sphere. As long as you can lift it. Problem solved. Cool. We answered one question. I feel like we answered two questions because gravity. I feel like we have come hard down on if you are immune to magic damage, you are immune to gravity, and thus you do not take fall damage. Invisible objects can make sense more than invisible person, like Shroud. Yeah, I agree. Or invisible person or visible creature using other senses, like to be able to sense where things are rather than seeing. Discordia says Mage the Ascension addresses the blind invisible factor. If you want to navigate, you need to have the correspondence sphere to have a sense of your surroundings while light is bent around you. Oh, God, I love Mage. That's cool, Discordia. This is an exercise in deliberately trying to find loopholes as opposed to the intent of the rules. I feel like this is not finding loopholes. This is trying to understand something to its fullest extent. If you are immune to magic, are you immune to friendship? Oh, no! That's funny. I would say no because I feel like friendship is magic is a metaphor. To use Resilient Sphere would be crap, though, to beat people with it since it weighs nothing. Ooh. Only from unicorns. No, but I'm not immune to bones. All right, cool. That's 2 questions down. I love both of those. I need to write down hang on. There we go. Question. Done. Durathal asked several questions in the Discord, and I'm going to get to one of those. I also have several that I wrote before here, but we are going to go to Durathal's. Oh. Which has to do with another specific item. So. Which is, can you swallow a bead from a necklace of fireballs? If so, when does it detonate, if at all? Secondarily, would it still have an area of effect if detonating inside someone? So, necklace of fireball. It is a necklace. It's a wondrous item. This is specifically a D&D 5e item. This necklace has 1d6 plus 3 beads hanging from it. So it's a necklace, beads hanging from it. You can use an action to detach a bead and throw it up to 60 feet away. When it reaches the end of its trajectory, the bead detonates as a 3rd level fireball spell, DC save 15. You can hurl multiple beads or even the whole necklace as one action. When you do so, increase the level of the fireball by 1 for each bead beyond the first. Okay, let me catch up about chat real fast. If friendship is magic and fireball is magic, friendship is arson. The entire force of the fireball would be shot as 2 cones from both end of the eater. That last one, I'd say antagonist slash atheist paladin can exist. Not a cleric, though. Okay, so that was actually, can a atheist exist as a character, as a playable character, or as a paladin, cleric, whatever? I have an absolute take on that, but that's a later question. I gotta answer this fireball one first. All right. Oh, also, I need to. Also, first time chatter. Hey, Castro, how's it going? We're answering and talking about really dumb questions, such as if you ate a bead from a necklace of fireball, would it go off? When? AoE? All right, so I read Necklace of Fireball. So it is, I think this is an important distinction here, and I'm going word for word on this. You can use an action to detach a bead and throw it up to 60 feet. I think that's the first part of the key. Is the act of activation the detaching or the throwing? I would argue it's the throwing, because the next paragraph says you can hurl the whole necklace as one action. You are not detaching the beads. So I think it is the throw action that is activating it. So if you remove a bead and eat it, nothing would happen. I would assume, pass a bead of fireball through you, which would be awesome for getting past security. Like, oh, I'm going into a castle. They're going to search me. That's cool. I downed freaking 16 beads of fireball before I got here. They're all sitting in my tummy in, 24 hours. I'm going to pop these bad boys out, and they're going to be ready to go. If the bead dropped the distance out of your butt, is it considered throwing? I would say dropping is not the same as throwing, so no. However, throwing the bead up, yes, because it has throw in the name. So don't vomit the bead, or they will all go off. What if you had gastric distress? Oh my gosh, can't read. Yeah, that would cause problems. Because if you throw up, what about forceful farting? Well, that's sharding at that point if you're shooting a bead out. I can accept the throwing up one. Or do throw them up if you want to pretend you're a dragon. That's a good point. So if you remove a bead from the necklace and drop it out of your hand, you're arguing that that wouldn't detonate. Yes, I would indeed say that would not detonate. That would allow you to drop it. At that point, I also feel like that is not incredibly overpowered, because essentially you have a thing that is like a potion of fireball. Like that is an object that when thrown is fireball is an object that exists in the world. That's not a out-of-pocket thing. So I would say dropping it, maybe we could make an argument, but I would say removing it without some level of force being applied will not detonate it. Because I think the key there is thrown. GM Wolf says the bead wouldn't detonate. The need for an action when you throw it, bead implies there is a special activation. I agree. Unless you're activating it when you swallow it, then having a fireball in your tummy, the spell spreads around corners, so it definitely comes out of your mouth. I don't think it comes out of your mouth. I think you explode. A fireball goes off inside of you. I think it would tear through you. It would come out of your mouth and your butt, but it would also come out of the front of your stomach, probably. I think the AoE damage of fireball would be significantly reduced, though, if it went off inside of you. Then, because you are acting as an insulator, the impact would be much, much lower. And I don't think, like, depending on how much HP you have, you may not explode from it. But, like, you could have some small holes ripped in you and still survive. Oh, you're taking all the damage with no save. Absolutely. Okay, so you've got that. What if you're thrown? What if you swallow it and then someone throws you? Would all of your beads go off then? What about farting out ping pong balls? Well, Commando handstanding. Only if they knew you've swallowed it. Okay, so they have to actively want to activate it. Just thought of a barbarian tribe committing age ritual of eating these beads. Oh yeah, that'd be really good. Thinking about just carrying it inside you, since have it in you and detonate when the ogre throws you. What if you swallow a bead and someone punches you? If someone hand hits the necklace while you're wearing it, the necklace will not go off prematurely. There is nothing in it about detonating before it is thrown, so it is stable. So someone could punch you in the gut and it would not explode. If they punch you in the gut and it makes you throw up, you're in trouble. There has to be a way of moving the necklace without detonating it. Otherwise, you blow up after crafting it, right? Yeah. So it's the activation of throwing it. I think that, again, further evidence, I think that is the key. Because it has to be able to move. It has to be able to do all these things normally. Not even being ingested, just existing without it exploding. Main argument here is that magic in D&D is based off intention, and therefore you have to intend for it to do the thing. Solid point. I think part of it is intention. It can be intention. It can also be like a activation word, And then you could accidentally say the word. The intent was not to activate it, but you said the thing. So I think intention is one of the things that can be a trigger, but it doesn't have to be. Durathal says, if I remember correctly, it used to be that the fire damage could trigger, but not sure if that's still a thing or if it is a house rule. According to the rules on D&D Beyond, there is nothing about it accidentally triggering. Wow, wild that I disagree with Jesse on almost every ruling. Who, you, Talion? You disagree with me on ruling? I don't know. What part of that would you disagree with? We've never disagreed before. But yeah, I think you would eat it, and you would be fine. I think it's a great way to get it past security. What's the trigger for the necklace, though? According to the rules as written, you can use an action to detach a bead and throw it up to 60 feet away. So I feel like the throwing is the activation. Maybe you could make an argument that the detaching is also, and then you could still eat the bead, be fine, poop it out, put it back on an empty necklace, then detach it and throw it. That's true. Throwing the whole thing makes it work. Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking that detaching isn't critical. Detaching is just how you throw one bead, because an action to throw it is the main thing. It's a little switch on the side labeled as an action. A magic item is crafted with intent. You can definitely activate one without intent. Yeah. So you can force feed people these. Yeah, I mean, you could. Although if they don't like it and vomit, everybody near them is in trouble. Detaching the bead from the necklace primes it. After that, I'd argue any impact will detonate it. Okay, but then if that is true, Talion, then how do you prime it by throwing the whole necklace without detaching any beads? Since there's no primer. How does that work? That's why I'm thinking that the action has to be the throw part. If it's a primer, then you'd have to do something before throwing the whole necklace, but you don't. Because magic, the necklace knows when you're throwing it. I think that's very funny. I would absolutely not rule that. I prefer my magic items to have no thinking. They have to have very clear rules. And if they are used in a way you didn't expect, oh well, that's how they're written. You gotta write them different next time. So it's the speed of the bead is traveling at a force to be bead colliding with the surface, igniting it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a speed or a force, because it doesn't say that. It's just thrown, and it could be thrown up to 60 feet, which means you could just go and just kind of and there's no speed or force behind that. I mean, it's slightly, because, it's the slightest bit. But that, I feel like that isn't what the trigger is. It is the act of, I am taking an action to throw. Other bead magic items explode on impact, making the impact key to the item's trigger. Oddly, the necklace doesn't have that language. Maybe that's what makes it special. If we were looking at the other ones, I might rule it completely differently. Right, but some spells and items can be set to trigger, like when my stock portfolio goes down. Absolutely. And then it can trigger, and you could be like, oh, shoot, no, that's not what I wanted. Boom. This is why you don't mess with marbles and incineraries. They'd have to have an activation switch of some sort. Ooh, Talion, fair point, but if we're not considering the removal of the bead as a primer and the necklace doesn't know when you're throwing it, then impact must be what's setting it off. I think that's a fair point. So you'd have to be, so it's safe in the digestive system, but you would have to Very careful. You'd have to poop very close to the ground, um, or the fall might detonate it. I think that's a fair assumption. So the trigger could be when it's thrown as literal language. Yes, that would be helpful. It's not exactly that clear. Italian, I like your thinking, though. I'm thinking the impact of being thrown works. So drop bead would also detonate. I would say no, because it requires an action to throw it, and dropping something is a free action. So I would think no, just to play with the rules. But I think from where you're coming from, that is an absolutely valid way to think about it. And that if you drop it, it could be a free action that counts as its action. Is pooping an action? That depends. I've had some involuntary poops in my life. I did not choose to take that action. My body chose that was happening. So pooping is an encounter. Sometimes it is an encounter. Yeah, so that's my thought. You can eat it. It will not go off. You can pass it without problem. You have to throw it in order for it to activate after you have pooped it out. And then if you are thrown while you have it, it will activate. And if you throw them up, they will activate. That's my thought. You can use the action to remove the bead from the necklace, hold it in your hand, and either use another action to throw it later, similar to held action, or drop it as a free action and it detonates. I think that's a fair way to rule it. Again, a little different, but I think that is we're dealing with some fluid language here, and I think that is a valid way to interpret it. I stand by your thoughts, Italian. If you eat the bead, then show up in court, then throw yourself on the mercy of the court, does it go off? You have to literally throw yourself on the mercy of the court, though. You can't metaphorically throw yourself. The bead doesn't go off when you metaphorically throw yourself. Or metaphorically throw it. It only goes off when you physically throw it. All right. Are we satisfied with this dumb answer? Because I liked it. I think this is fair. I think this is a good answer. Serious answer to dumb questions. I love it. There are few things I love more than serious answers to dumb questions, or just like really bizarre questions. Like I think I mentioned this before. I had a friend of mine who had a really long conversation during a road trip on in the far future in something like the alien universe where you have hypersleep truckers. What happens when like they're doing a delivery over the course of like 30 years and the company that is supply that like they're employed with goes bankrupt and dissolves or has a merger in the time of their cryosleep delivery. Like what happens to their goods? What happens to the paycheck? What if they were promised to pay certain amount up front, certain amount at the end, but that business doesn't work anymore? Like it's like, how would you build laws to counter these, like, and support people or screw people over? Italian says you can cast Awaken on the necklace, then confuse the necklace. It has been thrown, so it explodes. I love that. You should absolutely do that. That's great. This necklace is imbued with magic or cursed, because the necklace could be like nitroglycerin in Dokapon, right? Yeah, it could be. Could absolutely be like Nitro and Dokapon. Although if it was, yeah, it would be and you can't remove the necklace. Also, still, I've played like 40 hours of Dokapon. Still, I've never seen the nitroglycerin go off. Amazing. I feel like that's an answer. I think that's an answer to the question. Durthal, I love this question. Oh, also in a world with hypersleep, are you paid for hours in your reference frame or the company's? Special relativity tells us that time spans would be different. That is true. It's a great question about that. Maybe you got one necklace that goes off when popped. I think the plot of the journey to Savage Planet, some space colony company goes bankrupt and abandons all its employees on a hostile planet. Ooh, that's brutal. Ooh, that's fun. In a world with hypersleep, you use everyone involved and let God sort it out. You sue everyone involved and let God sort it out. That's, yeah. I mean, in the Wayland Yutani world, that does seem like how it would go because they're terrible. All right, I feel like that's a good answer to that question. I think we've solved it. This is one that I feel like I have a clear answer on. But I think someone's going to think about this in an angle I didn't consider. And it's going to change it. So, when magic catches something on fire, I guess when fire magic, I should put to be clear. We're being pedantic. So we gotta make sure everything is clear. Is the fire that spreads magical? And could it start a magic forest fire? So I'm 4 magic. That's after 3 magic. Or golf magic. Thank you. Ice magic catching something on fire is a Dota spell. Specific rule in 5e and different one from other editions. Really? What's the rule in 5e? Because my thought being, okay, so like if you start like let's say you have a tree person who's rooted to the ground, or a magical talking tree, and they're like, I'm immune to all non-magical damage. And so a forest fire is coming through, and they're like, whatever, I'll be fine. But what if that forest fire was started from a magic? Because a bunch of magic does say flammable objects will catch fire. So is the fire that spreads non-magical? Italian with a hard fire that spreads is not magical. Why is the fire that spreads not magical? The fire that started it is magical. So like you have this fireball comes, catches this on fire, and then it burns the pom pom pern. It goes and spreads pom pom pern. Why wouldn't that be magical? It seems like it would be. I think additional magic fire requires additional magic. So would it just okay? So where does the regular fire come from then? Would it just like the magic part of it just burns away really quickly and you're just left with normal fire? Like the magic part of fire is an extra ingredient that can burn away, but then there's just normal fire. Like is that what you're thinking? Like I don't know. I feel like if it's magic fire, it's magic fire. If I remember correctly, 5e did away with magical X, as in acid fire. Fire is fire. That's why non-magical always applies to physical, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. So, but if poison and fire is non-magical, that means that like you could cast a poison spray cantrip, but then anything immune to magic damage wouldn't take the damage because it's not magical. Is fire damage magic damage? If it's a magical fire, I would think yes. If you cast fireball, that is magic damage because it is from a spell. That's my thought. Discordia says fire, being an object of worship, attains power from belief and innately holds traits of destruction and purification. That doesn't answer the question at all, but I really like that saying, and I think that's a good point. I like to say fire itself is magic. All fire? But older editions, fire was either normal, magical, or dragon, which is the most fiery of all. Oh, no. Regular fire comes from the heat. Magic is the fuel. Ooh, interesting. When you light a fire with a lighter, you use fluid. But any fire that spreads there doesn't require use that fluid. But it still required the fluid in order to start. So that's hard because there isn't a real world equivalent of magic. So you have like, that was part of what started it. Shouldn't that be a part of its properties moving forward? Or should it be? Yes, if magic fire spreads whenever it spreads, it's also magic. So Speakeasy kind of leaning towards me, but I feel like we are in the minority here. We stole fire from Mount Olympus, therefore fire is magic. Oh, shoot. I do think it's an open question to the DM. I'm just putting, an opinion on it. No, that's great. Absolutely put your opinion on it. These are, I label them as dumb questions because we're being pedantic and weird. But there are multiple ways to interpret this. There's not I don't think, a correct way to think about it. And once that fuel runs out, it becomes no longer magical. That's an interesting way to put it. That the magic is a fuel that essentially burns away. I don't know what makes the attack magical. You're immune to the casting of the spell or something. Like a Rakshasa, I guess. That would be a little more system dependent, but like just thinking of, if you're immune to magic, is all secondary fire made from it going to also be magic? Lighters can be used to accelerate. Use an accelerant to create fire. But if you use the lighter to start a forest fire, it's not a class 2 fire. What is the purpose of creating the distinction between magical fire and non-magical fire? In this case, Crime Bastard, it is if you are immune to non-magical damage. Okay? And someone starts a forest fire with magic fire. Is all of the fire that all spawned from the same magical fire source, is all the fire that spreads magical? Or does it become mundane at some point? Also, is magical fire a different color? That would be cool. That would be cool. I feel like magical fire should be a different color. I'm just providing raw. Still would like to know the dumb interpretation. Gut instinct, fire created by magic, is mundane fire. I do not have good reasoning for this. Deebs, so if you are immune, if fire created by magic fire is mundane fire, but you're saying the magic, its fire itself isn't? So like if someone shoots you with, if you're immune to magic, or you're immune to non-magic, and someone shoots you with a fireball, the fireball hurts you, even though the fire is non-magical. Or the fireball itself is magical, but then at what point does the effect of the fire stop being magical? I guess is my thought. Because you're saying the fire created by magic fire is mundane. So at what point do you think, as in like a trick question, I'm just curious, like what point do you think it would stop being magical? Yeah, you get blasted with a fireball that hurts you. You trip and fall in some burning debris caused by the fireball. It doesn't. So what's the point in which it stops? And again, there's no wrong answers. We just have opinions. If it was Discworld, it would be Octrine Fire. I don't know Discworld. Heard good things. That sounds like a real Discworld thing. In 3E D&D, we ran across a plant monster that was not immune to fire, had regeneration, and the regeneration was not turned off by fire. Could we build a perpetual motion steam locomotive with this? I'm writing that question down to answer later. That's really funny. We're getting into weeb shit, but in Naruto, oh boy, here we go. We're getting into some Shipputens. When Amaterasu, I'm assuming that's the name, sets things on fire, it spreads the magic fire. The spread doesn't become regular fire. See, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. Fire does burning damage. Magic is not a damage type. GURPS is superior. I would like to play GURPS. I do not want to run GURPS. I've read the rulebook of GURPS and went, I'm confused. It seems cool, but oh my gosh, there's so much. Class A fire is normal flammable, e.g. wood. Class B flammable liquids, like fuel used lighter fluids. If you use a lighter to start a forest fire, that fire is not a Class A because the forest is burning. Wait. But the forest fire is not Class A? Even though Class A fire is normal flammables, e.g. wood. But trees are wood. I'm confused. But you're saying you would start... Okay, but you start it with a flammable liquid, but then it becomes something else as it burns on other material. I think that might be what you're saying. Neuromancer says, my interpretation of fireball is that the fire sphere itself is magical, goes out immediately, and whatever is burning after is normal fire. It would take... But I would take a more funny answer. Octurne is the color of magic. Oh, okay. Play good GURPS once, still think I use 90% of the rules. That's fair, because GURPS is made to be, like, in all systems. So there's rules for, like, building mechs and stuff. And if you're doing fantasy or something else, you're not going to use that rule. So yeah, there's rules for it to be a universal system. Oh, sorry, that's not Class B. The flammable liquid is the metaphor for magic. Got it. Okay. That makes sense, Talion. I think you have a good point. Struggling to words it. That's my favorite phrase today, Deeps. Basically following the logic Talion presented, the magic fire is explicitly created by the spell. Once the spell is done being cast, any resulting fire is just regular ass fire. I'm leaning towards y'all's interpretation of that. I think, and this is why I was kind of feeling like, oh, someone's going to know more about fire than me, and it's gonna change my mind. That yeah, the magic is an accelerant that runs out, and the magic part of that makes it magical, but then becomes mundane. I did make an Excel sheet to build vehicles in GURPS with every single component in it, but lost the file ages ago. Oh, that's sad. This is why I just... What? Okay, have fun. Bye. That's why I described it as the magic is the fuel. As long as fuel is magic, then it runs out. Makes sense. Deep says bye, have fun. Bye. I'm getting fruit. Keeper Day says bye, have fun. Speak easy waves. Tried to email Team Jackson. He replied they only accepted floppy disks via snail mail. That's funny. The spell is explicitly an instantaneous effect, suggesting the magic is not sustaining any result of fire after casting. Yeah, I think y'all are right. I think the magic part of it is an immediate effect, and the secondary effect of the burning is caused by the magic, but is mundane fire. If dragon's fire breath was some type of mucus, then you could argue that the mucus sticks around with magical fire in those spots. GM Wolf, that's kind of what I was thinking too, is that if it's something like a dragon, you could have something that had longer effects, but then that would be whatever is burning from the mucus versus the mucus catches a tree on fire, which then catches the second tree on fire. That second tree is mundane magic, but that continually burning thing from the mucus is continually magic, but that it would not spread further than the mucus itself. Because, yeah, I really like things like that, Moonwolf, where you've got like, ooh, yeah, it's like these are special. It's a fun way to mix things up because you have the established rule and you can find a way to play around it. This discussion shows how magic damage is not a useful mechanic. It's funny. Yes. Isn't that the case in GOT or something? I'm assuming that's Game of Thrones. I swear I watched a movie or show where the dragon's breath wasn't magic. It was chemicals mixing in dragon's mouth creating fire. There's several things that do that because I remember that too. Oh, Delicious in Dungeon actually does that. The dragon has like a secondary like organ. Not a secondary organ. They have so many organs. It has like another organ in its belly, like beside its stomach, that comes up through its throat, and then it expels gas, and then like it has something under its tongue that it can click, and that creates a spark, and then that makes fire. There are probably several things that do that, but I believe Delicious in Dungeon is one of them. Moonwolf saying Reign of Fire did that. That makes sense. I saw that movie once when it was in theaters. That is the information of I've seen it is pretty much all I remember from it. And that they drive Hummers, I think. Marie Brenna's Natural History Dragon. Oh, okay. Also might be in there. Definitely consumed dragon media where dragon's breath is caused by chemical reactions. Yeah, I feel like that's a once was enough. Is it that good of a movie? I kind of want to see it again just because I don't remember it. It's like I watched Jurassic Park 3 again because that was another movie that I was like, I've seen this, but I don't remember much. And then I watched it again and I was like, I didn't need to remember it. That movie is garbage. I've also consumed Dragon Magic where it was straight, or a lot Dragon Media where it was straight magic. Yeah, that's fair. Flight of Dragons has a fun fire plus gas interaction that gives it. That's cool. Yeah, I remember it because in Delicious in Dungeon, the dragon's bladder, like flame gas bladder, gets busted, and there's a spark, and it explodes, and it's continually there's so much gas in it, there's a hole in the dragon, and it's just continually burning. So they turn it into a pizza oven to make food. Delicious in Dungeon is great. Shinobi, have a good time. Shinobi. I think you're a little late. She's already gone. But I appreciate it. And hi. Can't wait for season 2. Yeah, I need to finish season 1, but I'm also excited for season 2. So I think that solves it. I think we solved it. It is initially fire. Have a good tome. Have a good lexicon. It is initially magic fire that is burned off immediately. All secondary fire is mundane. I think that's fair. I think that's a good way to think about it. Jameis Sreg, hey, I think the fire that spreads is non-magical. That's kind of the idea we've settled on, is that it is indeed non-magical. I think that's fair. I think that's a good way to think about it. That means I can't have a magical forest fire unless I add some other ridiculous thing to it, but that's probably for the best. Because then you could have like, oh, magical fire is resistant to water, so now you can't even put the fire out, and it's going to burn the whole world or something. So it's probably best if all the secondary fire is indeed non-magical for the safety of everybody involved. Magical forest fire is maybe if the trees are magic. Ooh, okay. Oh, that's fun. So they're supplying the mundane fire with the magic sauce that it needs to become magical. The dragon mucus. I cast a large area of effect spell in a forest. Does the fire gain the magic keyword? In the magic forest, yes. If the trees are magic, then maybe. Regular forest, no. You would not, crime bastard. That could lead to a fun alchemical-based forest fire adventures. It could. If you had a magical forest fire that lasts for a duration, the fire in its effect would be magical. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But it would have to be like really specific because, as we discussed, I feel like secondary fire, not magical. But would that make trees immune to it? Not all magic things are immune to magic. Speakeasy. So they could be. I'd rather enjoy my Rexicon. That's funny. Wordplay, it's great. Okay, so someone brought this up before, and this was another one of Durathal's questions. What if you cast Fire 9? I'm assuming that's a joke, and I don't get it. If a magic fireball sets a forest on fire and nobody's there to hear it, is not all that glitters gold? I think that from a system perspective, like magic is a transient manipulant of reality, making fire from nothing. Physical consequences are then non-magical. Makes sense. Read Kurt von Cat's Cradle. Oh, okay. I believe you. I probably won't read it. I'm sorry. Is it possible to be an atheist or agnostic? Oh, or atheist or, oh no, I had it right. Agnostic cleric / paladin. Then we'll say / etc. Is it possible to be an atheist? Can confirm. Oh, Ice 9. Wait, like the band? Ice 9 Kills? Oh, is a material that makes anything it touches adapt a lower energy state. This means it freezes the whole planet. Oh. Ooh, that's fun. Is it possible to be an atheist or agnostic cleric paladin? I would say absolutely. Because here's my thought. You can understand that something has power without believing it is godlike. That's what I think. Oh, I just ripped a thing out of my ear. Sorry. Whoop. So, like, you could be like, hey, tartar sauce. People call you the god of the tabaxi. That's from Adventurer's Night. And, like, yeah, you're clearly powerful. But, like, I don't think you're a god. I just think you're a very powerful thing. But, like, I could still do cool stuff with you giving me power. Or a paladin, I think, can believe in a cause as well, rather than just a higher being. So like a justice. Like there does not have to be a god of justice. It could just be I believe in justice or I believe in stuff. So I think yes, because just because you acknowledge that a thing has power does not mean that you acknowledge it is godlike. And so or a literal god. And so yes, I think you could be an atheist or agnostic cleric or paladin. Totally think so. All right, now I gotta check up on chat. I've seen both alternatives in different settings. A humanist divine magic wheeler, I'd say generally yes, but your setting may vary. Says Jademus. Fair. Yeah, I think a humanist divine magic wielder I think works. Rules is written in 5e. Yes, you could be a cleric of truth without believing in the god of truth. Says Talion. Talion, I agree with you. Is magic religious in D&D? Some magic is. And also in Pathfinder, there's the Pathfinder 2, it's what? Primal magic, occult magic. God, I don't think it's occult is like the religious magic, I think. Hang on, I'm gonna look this up because I want to get it right. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's it. It's arcane magic, divine magic, elemental magic, uh, occult magic, and primal magic. So there's 5. Sorry. So occult is like the religious based magic. So magic can have religious origins or religious base or religious power source in D&D and Pathfinder and other RPGs, but it does not have to be. There are other forms of magic. Like a wizard doesn't have to be like, tartar sauce, give me power. He can be like, I read a fucking book. I know Excel. I'm going to magic this. Sorcerers can be like, well, I have a family member that boned down with some demons, and now I got magic in me. It's just how it works, baby. So it doesn't have to be religious. Let's see. Normally, divine magic derives from a deity or something. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to believe that the deity is what they say they are, because they might not be. Example, Forgotten Realms, says Neuromancer. Annoyingly, it isn't a cleric part, paladin specifically, not a god related. Now, in Eberron, people are pretty sure gods don't exist, but you still get spells if you believe hard enough. Yeah. You just believe, the power of belief. That could also be a good way to do a... but that'd be more of a... That'd be harder to do as a cleric or something if you just believe in something hard enough. But you could. You just know, like, you could be an atheist or agnostic, be like, people think that they're getting their power from tartar sauce. But I think if you just trust hard enough, you'll just get the power. You don't have to believe in tartar sauce. GM Wolf says, in a lot of D&D-ish settings, it's the strength, conviction of faith, not always the deity's direct hand that fuels the power. Like, yeah, agree. Kind of what I just said, but you said it earlier, but I didn't read it till now. Italian says, to draw strength from magic of some fundamental thing, or do you need to assign a deity to thing? See, I think it's... Oh, arcane, primal, divine. Is elemental not one of them? I think elemental is one of them. I don't believe in Pathfinder, but I do believe in Eorzea. What's Eorzea? So if you're a cleric or paladin but refuse to acknowledge that your patron is a god, does that mean you see yourself as a warlock? Yes. So you call yourself a warlock, but you are actually a cleric. That's funny. That's funny, Deeps. GM Wolf says, I once played a game where I was a cleric that was losing their faith in their deity, and the GM worked with me on how that could affect my abilities, reducing save DCs. I had to do special actions to regain spells, etc. It felt more compelling than an atheist / agnostic story. Ooh, that's really interesting. That's hard because you gotta work on like basically you're nerfing yourself. That's really interesting. Is all magic divine? No, there's a split between arcane and divine. Yeah, depending on the system, there is. So like Pathfinder, divine and occult would be religiousy, but elemental, primal, arcane are not. And then in D&D and other systems, there's magic that comes directly from deities and others that do not. And some spells that are in the same groups, like, oh, everybody casts fireball, but the wizard casts it different than the cleric does, even though it's the same spell. Also, if you refuse to acknowledge that God is a god, why would they decide to just bestow their power upon you? There could be reasons. They could be like, look, you don't believe in me, but I think you're doing good work, so I'm going to give you power anyway. Also, it could be that, like, this is more of a lore thing, but it could be that they're really not the source of the power, that they are a catalyst, or that they are a middleman or a gateway, and that there are ways to go around them to get those same powers. Power is inside you all along. Yep. Cleric of tartar sauce is definitely an option in Eberron. Gotta go work on dinner, but thanks for the stream, Jesse in chat. That's been fun. Thank you, Talion. You are always a delight to have. I hope you have a delicious dinner and that everybody involved has a good time and enjoys it. Yours is a Final Fantasy 14 class. It's a bad joke. Oh, okay. All right, cool. I've also started dinner, but I'm still listening. Oh, good. It is 6 o'clock. I feel like I should probably wrap it up. We only got through 3 questions. I actually have several more. And I'm excited to do this again sometime. I believe I have a guest next week. Cleric of Awkwardness gets magic by making other people feel awkward. I love it. I know this was supposed to be dumb questions. And then, like, this has honestly been really interesting. Keeper Days, thank you. The idea is to be interesting. Like, I think it's very fascinating. If you're immune to fall, if you're immune to non-magical damage, would you take fall damage? Like, I think that is an interesting topic. I think this is a fun discussion. Does fire magic make magic fire? Like I think I'm glad other people also enjoyed this and thought it was fun. Because yeah, I find that incredibly fascinating and fun to dig around with. So thank you. We'll definitely do this topic again. If other people have more things they want to ask, you can drop them into Discord. I'm going to make a little folder or a little document with all the questions. Because yeah, Durthal asked like 2 other questions we didn't even get to. Mirthid asked a question also really good about making a perpetual motion steam engine. Which honestly, great question. Like coming up with dumb answers. Yeah, it's fun because you want to make an answer that makes sense. Like it's a fun mix of like it needs to be fun and interesting. The answer needs to be fun and interesting for the world. It needs to make sense in the world and with all the information you have, and you have to really read and pay attention to whatever the source material is that you're getting this question from, like the necklace of fireballs, to be like, okay, well, how does it say it works? Or the sphere question. Can you beat someone to death with Brazilian sphere? Like, all right, we gotta really read this. I can run a GURPS game. I have to drop a hat. Ooh, so let me know when you're ready. I have an adventure. Oh, I used to run a Dragon Con. It's best with 6 players. If you is it Dragon Con's a one shot. If you can get 5 other people together to play a one shot, please let me know. I mean online, clearly. But yeah, I think of playing I would love to play a GURPS game. I haven't been to Dragon Con in 20 years. Oh, I've never been, so Dragon Con is one that like it's so big. I don't think I could go to it um unless I was working. Like if it was like, "Oh, I'm doing some panels. I'm going to talk about Adventures in I or RPGs at Dragon Con." I don't think I could go there just for fun. I think it would be too many people would be too stressful. And I love conventions. But I feel like at that size I don't know if I could have fun. Cuz I love smaller cons. I love just going to a small con and not having a plan. And I love like doing panels and stuff at small cons too. And I like doing panels at large cons, which makes me think I would enjoy it that way. And like having a set thing, like when we went to PAX West, we were packed like all 3 days. We were absolutely packed with like checking out games, which was really fun. PAX Unplugged also, we were talking to people the whole time, all 3 days. And those were fairly big. Dragon Con's in 90 days. Well, have fun playing on that trip. Hey, George Lucas. I should do PAX Unplugged again. Yeah, it was really fun. Awkwardly met Christopher Lloyd at Dragon Con. Aw. That's cool. Bye, Jadamus. All right, well, I think that's it. This was really fun. I had a good time. Thanks, everybody, for coming once again. Oh, right. Who do I have next week? Let me check. I think I remember who it was, but I believe, yeah. Assuming he can still do it, Paul Curry, who's the DM for a live RPG show called Dungeons and Drag Queens, and he's going to be my guest. He's the DM. And I saw their shorts on Instagram and I chuckled at them. So I reached out and was like, I do this thing. Do you want to just talk about RPGs together? And he was like, yeah. So hopefully he's a cool dude. If not, real sorry. But that's how you meet people. Were they shorts with hearts on them? Yes. The hearts of everybody who enjoyed them and gave a little heart, a little like. Does Instagram do the hearts? I don't remember. Thumbs up, hearts, whatever. So yes. I think we're talking about yeah, we're talking about how to not derail following players who diverge from the path. So when people derail you, what to do. I'm looking forward to it. Which is a topic that he brought up, so I assume he's got a lot of experience with players just going way off the handles. Should be fun. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you next week. Probably also see you Monday for Hot Monday Energy, and I'll probably see you elsewhere around these parts for other things. Bye.